skies, and on every occasion that you do or don't smile.
Welcome to Sensible Secondhand Reviews, and once again a Hyundai i10. This is a 2018 1.2 SE, which has very kindly been brought for review by Matt, because he found out we were doing a 1 litre and he wanted to give me a chance to compare the two. So we have had one of these on the channel before, and I make no apologies for doing another one. They are actually very interesting cars, and this one being a 1.2, I've always been intrigued ever since Matt said that he had one, to see how it compared with a 1 litre, and so it's actually pretty useful to be able to do both of these. This is a 1.2 litre engine with 85 horsepower. It's a 4-cylinder. The 1 litre is just a 3-cylinder unit that's only got about 67 horsepower, and you can definitely feel the difference between the two of them. There was a blue drive version of the 1 litre available as well, which got ridiculous average fuel economy figures, something like 68 miles per gallon, I seem to remember. The official figures as well, on 0 to 60 times, say that the 1 litre takes about 15 seconds to reach 60. This is about 12.3, and I can feel, although the 1 litre is not slow, it's not as bad as some cars I've driven, this feels an awful lot quicker, and it still has that little sort of nimble city car characteristic. I'm just going into this sort of corner now. It's not a very fast corner, but it's typical of this when you're doing an urban situation, and it feels very good indeed. It's always interesting to compare slightly different models of the same car, and indeed, of course, you've seen an i10 from the second generation on the channel quite recently, because when we did the social event back in July, I filmed a 1 litre version of this, and it was the same specification. It was an SE. I find it fascinating that it's got the kind of plates that Hyundai press cars wore as well, because Hyundai press cars are registered in Essex, and this has got an Essex plate on it, so I don't know if it was originally registered by Hyundai or just a dealer in Essex. It's impossible to say, really. One of the main things about a second generation i10 is the boot space. It's a little bit bigger than the Volkswagen Up, Skoda Citigo, or Seat Me. It's about 252 litres. If I just lift this up as well, you can see you've actually got a spare wheel in there, which is brilliant. It's not got anything too fancy in it. It's not got anything like sort of 12-volt sockets or anything in here, but it's actually pretty spacious for a little car like this, and there is a little hook there to hang things on. One of my favourite things about an i10 of this generation is the fact that you can not just get windows that roll down, you can get rear electric windows in this car. And I think most of the trims actually have 4 of them, which is really good. I'll have to just pause a second to just adjust the seat so I can get in the back, but actually we'll get in the front first. Something that some of you might have seen on the first video is that the interior walkaround is not complete. That's because I lost the sound on part of that, and didn't realise until much later, so I had to cut that out, and by the time that I realised, it was far too late to get the car back in, so we've got another go at it. Brilliant. This is the SE model, which was the most popular trim for a second generation i10, and we've got a demonstration here of how useful all the little ports are. 12-volt socket, aux in, USB, very simple to understand. Air conditioning controls indeed as well. Now, the plastic is textured, but it's still a bit hard, but I can't think of a rival in this market segment that has, shut the door, that has soft touch plastics anyway. If you had maybe a premium or premium SE model, you might get a leather steering wheel, but this is just the SE, so you just get a standard plastic one. It's not too bad though, and it shows we've got cruise control and Bluetooth for the phone on here, and it's quite well laid out. I'll just turn the key, we can have a look at the little screen. Don't know why it's beeping at me. It's not the dash cam either. Right, let's finish beeping, good. Just a little tiny monochrome screen, but it gives you everything that you need. One thing I would say is I don't think it's got a CD player, which, you know, is a bit perplexing, but not entirely unusual for a car of this age. It's only 3 years old. If you look at these door trims, I probably prefer a sort of chromed one in here, but I think that's available on some of the higher ones. But these switches feel very, very, very good. I think they're shared with other Kia and Hyundai models of this era, and they feel excellent quality. Same thing as with something like an MG3, the plastic is sort of hard and there's not much in the way of material on the door. In fact, I'm not sure there's any sort of kind of fabric and material on the door, but maybe it doesn't matter. The door pockets are very big. I think you could probably fit a litre bottle of water in there, which is excellent for a little car like this. Traction control, of course. No automatic lights or wipers in this car, but I believe something like a premium SE would have had those as standard. This car's got the 5-speed manual gearbox. There was an automatic available as well. Everything's very well laid out and very easy to use. There were some more colourful trim options available than this just all black, but you know, it's not bad. I mean, I've seen a lot worse, much worse. See if my secret mission document actually will go into the glove box. I'm not sure we actually had that early on. Come on, come on. Oh no, not again. Seem to be coming across quite a lot of cars that they just won't fit in by a hair's breadth, which is a little bit annoying, but you know, there we are. Right, as promised, I think I'll try to get to the back after I've just shown you, but we've got some cup holders down there, one very big cup holder actually, a normal handbrake, which is wonderful, and a 12-volt socket, and big sort of tray there, which I presume can hold bottles as well. Oh, and there is a left footrest. So many cars these days, regardless of the price, just don't come with a left footrest, and this one does, which is absolutely brilliant. Right, we'll now get into the back. Okay, I've just adjusted the seat slightly so I can get it a bit more easily. Yes, with the seat in this position, there is a fair bit of room. Headroom is really good. Windows, of course, do roll all the way down, as I think we were able to demonstrate last time, if I remember. I didn't get cut off. It is quite a high window line though in the car, so the windows aren't absolutely huge. But visibility actually looks really good. It's much better than some other cars. Another huge door bin there. There's the place to put things. The only thing I would say is that although I can see you can unzip these seat covers, which could be very useful, there are no sort of mat pockets or anything on the back of the seat. That could be a problem depending on who you are, really. Some people wouldn't think that to be an issue. Right, let's have a look at the engine, because that's the one major difference between this car and the last one we filmed. So here we are, the incredibly familiar 1.2 or 1.25 litre Kia stroke Hyundai engine. Kia call it a 1.25, Hyundai 1.2. I've no idea why. It develops about 85 horsepower, and it has been used in so many models over the last 10 years, and the Kia and Hyundai range, I can't tell you. It's actually being still used today, for example in the base model Kia Rio. They're very reliable engines. They are actually chain cam, so there's no time but to worry about. Obviously you've got to make sure you service the engine properly and don't have the oil run low. Some of them do very occasionally have timing chain failures, but it is quite uncommon. This car is still under its 5-year warranty, so if there were any problems, they'll be covered, but I mean, it's very unlikely that would happen anyway with one of these cars. I do like the facelifted front end that these later second generation i10s have. I think it looks better than the pre-facelift cars, although there's not a huge difference between them really. The access isn't the best I've seen because, of course, it's quite a small front on this car. There's not a massive amount of sort of bonnet really to be able to contain all these things, but it's absolutely fine for all the sort of major servicing that you're going to need. Right, let's go for another drive, viewers. Trim levels available in a second generation i10 were S Air, I presume it's just S with air conditioning, SE like this one. By far the most popular trim was the SE, then Premium SE, and then there were a couple of special editions, Play and the Go edition and Go SE. There's not really kind of like a sporty model of these. They tend to be sort of for more practical purposes, and I think really this engine's all you're ever going to need. I mean, you might want to choose to 1 litre for things like tax purposes and probably get slightly better fuel economy with this, but really, I mean, it's not really going to cost you a lot of money to run. The insurance premiums in these cars are pretty low. The running costs are quite minimal, particularly because of the 5-year warranty that all these cars had from new, and that also included things like 5 years vehicle health checks, 5 years breakdown assistance, all that sort of stuff, and I can see why people would have chosen them. It's always difficult with me to decide whether I prefer this to something like an MG3 or not, and there are a lot of cases for thinking that this is a better option because of the more economical engine and the fact the ride isn't so hard. And driving one of these again today is a difficult thing because they cost very similar money as well when they were new. The MG3 is a bigger car though, there is a bit more space in it, there's a bit more boot space as well, but these are a very good alternative to all the usual stuff like the Peugeot 108, Citroen C1, Toyota Aygo, and then of course the 3 Volkswagen triplets. I think we're going to have to go back and now sort of consider whether or not it's worth shelling out the extra money for this 1.2 version as opposed to the 1 litre. So the 1.2 version of the second generation Hyundai i10, is this something that you should consider for your budget of between £1,000 and £5,000? Well, again, I find myself saying the same sort of thing I said last time. It's very difficult to find a car that actually defines the definition of sensible second-hand more than this. You can buy them for £5,000, of course. They're very reliable, they're very spacious for the size of the car, they're easy to park. The clutch and the gearbox are quite good. For some reason, although it has a cable clutch, this one seems to be particularly good. Really, the only things I could say about it is if you want something that feels luxurious, this probably isn't the car for you. If you want something that has lots and lots of boot space or rear passenger space, this is good for the class, but you might want to look at something else if that is a concern. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed for watching this episode of Sensible Secondhand Reviews. Thank you to Matt for bringing the car down today. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, switch notifications on, and social media links are down in the description below. Thank you.